About the Yamas and how these universal codes of ethic, if you will, or moral centers that we're all looking for is laid out in most religious traditions. Most spiritual traditions have a template for a moral code for humanity. Thank goodness, because it seems like we need it as humans, right? Um, and the Yoga Sutra is no different. Even though it's not a religion, it is very much a spiritual path. So the third, we're on the third one today. So the first was ahimsa, nonviolence. The second one was satya, or truthfulness. And today we're going to talk about asteya, which is this aspect of not non-stealing. So one of the things I want to mention is, I think I said this earlier in the week, that all of the yamas start with the letter A, which means no or not or none. And it's often like the don'ts. The niyamas are like the do's, the things to do, and the yamas are the don'ts. But one of the things I don't like about that is that if we find ourselves restricting, which is an important thing, we need discipline, but really what it is that we're using these yamas to sweep away the challenges to get to the root of our human potential, of our spiritual nature. And so these are just things that we need to kind of sweep away in our path. And often the opposite, the non, of it is really our most divine nature lives in the thing itself, right? So in asteya, for instance, the sense of non-stealing, the opposite of that is that we have everything we need. There is no lack. And it is only our human condition that makes us feel that we have a lack. And really our spiritual nature, our spiritual beings are completely whole. There's nothing we are missing. And so a lot of times the yamas help us kind of sweep away what's in our way to understand the fullness, the wholeness, the truth of our highest spiritual nature. So with the sense of non-stealing, this can show up in a lot of different ways. It's really, in essence, a value of integrity, and a value of reciprocity, that we have enough and that we can offer ourselves in gratitude and giving. That this is really the ultimate cultivation, is that it's not just about don't steal things, but it's really about knowing yourself and having this sense of deep gratitude for what we have and a sense of integrity around that so that we can share. So non-possessiveness is, a little different than just stealing, but selfishness is really at the root of what we're trying to get to cut through. Gratitude helps us with this, as well as really examining what is it that we need in life, and can we not hoard what we don't need. I think the run on toilet paper at the beginning of the pandemic was a perfect example of asteya at work in our society. It's like, I still don't quite understand that, how toilet paper came before food, but somehow that seemed to happen. So it's just the sense that we need to pay attention to the ways in which we feel lack and excess. In what areas do you find yourself having excess? What are you craving that you don't necessarily need? So the on the relationship level, asteya can show up in the sense of like always hoarding a conversation, always having to be the one to lead a conversation, always making things about yourself and not about others. I had a teacher tell me once that asteya was really about learning the art of pay attention to yourself when you're by yourself, pay attention to others when you are with others. And that's simplified for sure, but it's the sense that give your attention to others when you are with them. Be a good listener. Don't interrupt people. Celebrate other people's successes instead of being jealous and wish that they were your own. Not hoarding your knowledge, not hoarding your fun. Share the wealth of what you have with others as much as you can. So that's really the essence of asteya, is learning to be generous and learning to be grateful and learning to offer what you have to the world and not hoarding or stealing from self or others. So let's go ahead and close your eyes and sit up straight and tall. And think about ways that you perhaps steal some things. I'm sure nobody's going out and robbing a bank, although we all look like bank robbers with our masks on. But this sense of, do you steal people's time? Are you late often to appointments? Do you not notice social cueing that your time is up to finish speaking? Is there a sense of hoarding that you have? Do you hold on to something that you don't need? Are you generous? Do you offer your time, your energy, your money, your possessions to those who need it? Do you steal from the future generations of our world by hoarding resources? Do you steal from your 100-year-old self by not caring for yourself today? There's so many ways that we can look at this. So just notice any bit that Asteya might touch you. And how can you cultivate gratitude and generosity? Let's start with the breath. Can you notice how even the breath itself is this exchange of receiving what you need and then letting it go? If you tend to be a breath hoarder, what sense of lack is in there for you? If you're a breath holder, what are you afraid to let go of? What are you afraid that you might miss? Do you have FOMO? The fear of missing out, even in the breath. So see if you can allow the breath to flow. Step into the flow. When we feel ourselves in flow, everything we need arrives when we need it. Everything we offer leaves us when it's ready. Feel yourself in the stream of energy, of water, of light, of air, whatever your element. Feel the sense of being in the flow. Let yourself be a little less sticky, where we don't have to hold onto anything. Even tension, can you let go? Can you feel the places in your body that might be holding? Place your palms together at your heart and sense in. What is your intention for your practice today? Let's release the hands and come onto our back. Okay, so as you find your way onto the floor, notice how your body is today. Is there any place that you need to care for in particular? Is there, do you have that sense of Asteya in your body ever? Do you kind of steal from yourself ever? Do you ever steal all your energy and not rest enough? Do you steal your thoughts by obsessing over something that was in the past or imagined future? How do you create blocks of stress or tension unnecessarily? So let yourself melt into the floor. Find your breath again. And then stretch your arms and lengthen through your body. So reach the right side, reach the left side, come into that space of opening, feeling the extension and the breath changes.
welcome yourself home to your body. Let's bring our knees into our chest and rock a little bit, swaying from side to side. Let yourself find some ease. Circle the knees one direction, and then circle the knees another direction. And open the knees up and allow for some range of motion in your hips as you bring your knees away and back in. All right, and then right knee into the chest. Start to move your ankles around, wiggle your toes, feel into your feet. All the ways we warm up this routine that, just kind of came to be a little bit. See if you can just let it be in your body where you're like, now I'm in my feet. And then switch. Now I'm in my left hip as it squeezes in. Let all the warm-ups not be just about loosening tissues in your body, but about becoming one with your body, entering into your body, coming home. Stretch your limbs out, starfish your body open, feel the deep extension, and then knees into the chest, chin up when you're ready. Okay. A couple more times, opening your body out. Exhale, drawing in. Are you noticing any place that needs care in your body as you're moving? Take note. Be kind to yourself. All right, and then let's release the head back down. Put your feet onto the floor and stretch your arms straight out to the side. Take a deep breath in and start to windshield wiper your knees. So feet even a little wider than your hips if you want it. And just feel that sense of movement as you stretch from side to side. Okay, finding the breath. All right, and then relax. Let's cross right thigh over left thigh. Try to go high on your thighs as much as you can. And then draw those knees into the chest and let your hips stretch open a little bit. Feel a teeny bit of compression. You don't have to squeeze your thighs intensely, but just feel a little bit of squeeze between your two thighs, opening up that right hip a bit. And then unwind the legs, keep them straight up in the air and open them out to a V. Stabilize through your core, find your breath, and then when you're ready, bring the legs back in. Cross left thigh over right thigh, and then draw these hips in, or these knees in toward your chest. See what it feels like to just have a gentle little squeeze between your thighs, just enough to start invigorating the lymph in your body. Feel free to move your feet around. Feel free to deepen the stretch by walking your hands down your shins a little bit more. How's your breath? And then this time when you stretch open, starfish again. Stretch your limbs out all the way to your fingers. Wiggle your fingers. And then exhale, knees into your chest. And then roll over onto your side and come up onto your hands and your knees. Let's start moving the flow of your body through some cat-cows, arching and rounding the spine, taking your time. Notice the vertebrae, what's available to you here. How's the movement in your spine today? Is there any place that feels a little cobwebby that you need to pay attention to? Feel free to pause anywhere and, wiggle around. This is your practice. So let your body start to find the ways in which it needs to warm up and wake up. So that cat-cow can turn into all sorts of different movement in your spine. Your spine is capable of so much permutations, so many permutations of movement. So let some of that happen. There's flexion, extension, side bending, twisting, and all the combinations thereof. Curl the toes under and let the bottom of the feet open as you stretch back just a little bit towards child's pose. So we're not going to go all the way back. Let the feet open. Touch the inner ankles. Spread the bones of your feet apart. Find your breath. And then relax that and smack your feet on the floor. Just let them relax. And then we're going to take your right leg straight back behind you. Curl your toe under. Let that foot open again. Stretch the calf. Then cross that foot over to the other side and turn and look over that foot and feel the stretch through the side of your body. If anybody did some shoveling this morning, maybe your low back is a little tender. So let's just stay there and breathe there for a moment. And then come back to center. This time all the way back to regular child's pose. Feet are normal. Lengthen your spine. Take a breath here. And when you're ready, come back up. Stretch your left foot back behind you. Curl the toes under. Stretch your calf. Find your breath. Your head, your shoulders, your pelvis is facing the floor. And then cross that foot over to the other side. Stay square. Turn and look out over the left side of your mat. Go look at your right foot. Deep breath, or left foot rather. Deep breaths. And then come back to center. Stretch back one more time, child's pose. Let the low back soften. Feel free to sway or wiggle, whatever feels good to you. On your way up to dog pose, curl those toes under. Find your breath here. And then start to move this pose around. Do you want to pedal your feet? Do you want to knead your feet or your hands into the floor? Is there hip movements or knee movements or shoulder movements that are going to help you kind of wake up the body a little bit? Bend your knees as much as you want. Find your breath no matter what you're doing. All right, and then walk your feet forward. Come into Uttanasana. Fold a bit. Feel that sense of release and relax. Soften. Feel free to still be moving around a little bit. You can wiggle your hips or your shoulders. Inhale for a halfway lift. Open up the backs of the legs. Spread open the feet. Lift the arches to the pelvis. Exhale and melt back down. Push off your feet and rise up. Bringing the arms to the sky. Open your breath. Lean back a little bit if it feels nice to do so. Open the chest and relax your arms down. Shake out your hands. Okay. Get some movement moving through your fingers. Okay. Roll around your wrists. Take a deep breath in. Open up some just big shoulder circles. And if shoulder circles hurt your shoulders, just do them like this so that you're actually moving your shoulders, even if you're not moving your humerus bones as much. Just get your shoulder blades to move around. Okay, and then shake your hands again. Take your feet wide apart and start to swing from side to side. Opening up the rib cage, feeling where the ribs meet the spine in the back. Notice your breath, how it's able to move here. Let your hips move, so we're not resisting. All right, and then come back to center. Just pause. How are you? Are you in your body now? Find your breath. Last little warm-up stretch we'll do here is to lift the right ear up in the air. You can always hold your hands behind your back if you want to increase the neck stretch. And come back to center and increase the other side. Let that ear lift up, up, up as your shoulder drops down. And then relax. All right, so Tadasana. Any kind of wiggles you need to just feel yourself ease into the floor. Practice your yielding. Allow the drop into the earth to happen. Knees are soft. The breath, we're not hoarding. We're not hoarding our energy. We're giving it to the earth. We're not hoarding our breath. We're receiving. Part of this Asteya can also be about resisting receiving. So to be in the flow, to not block ourselves, to not be possessive or hoarding, we need to learn how to receive freely and give freely. So practice with the breath. Practice with the giving and receiving to the earth. Ask for what you need. Offer what you can. Take a deep breath in, reach the arms up in the air. Exhale and fold forward again. Bend your knees a lot or a little, whatever you need. Inhale for a halfway lift. Extend the spine, feel the elongation of the spine. Exhale and melt back down again. Step your right foot forward, left foot back, come to a lunge, extending through your heart. Start to enjoy the legs. Square up the hips as you bend and straighten the front knee. Feel free to tuck the chin toward the chest as you straighten that leg. Just get into the body, get into the flow of your breath. Part of the work of Asteya is learning when you have something to give and learning when you don't have something to give. Our sense of hoarding often comes from our own lack of boundaries, where we just give, and then we feel like we have to hoard because we're depleted. So knowing your boundaries, knowing when you have something to offer and when you have need. Rise up, reaching the arms to the sky, detaching judgment around need, detaching judgment around what you can offer, detaching expectations of something in return. This is all about staying in the flow. Feel the open heart, feel the open hip, extend your arms anywhere that gives you best breath, and then release the hands down to the ground. Back foot comes forward, fold again. Inhale for a halfway lift. The spine is growing long, sit bones are high and wide. Exhale and fold again. Step your other foot back. Left foot is forward, right foot back. Extending through your heart. Feel the shoulders move away. Start to square the hips, straighten the legs, and bend and straighten that front knee. Move with breath. Enjoy this. What's available? What's opening in your body? Find a new little hidden crevice that you haven't felt yet in your practice. Are you breathing well? Come into a lunge. Rise up, bringing the arms anywhere that serves you. So you can open up through your ribs. You can cactus. Your hands can be over your heart. Anywhere that feels important for you to be, for your best sense of stability, your best sense of openness, your best sense of breath. All right. As you're ready, let's bring our hands back down onto the ground, dog pose. We're going to roll through some dog poses here, or roll from dog pose to plank. So see if you can round your spine a little bit. When do I ever say round your spine a bunch? So just enjoy that. Reach your heart forward, straighten things out, stretch to your heels, and then round back to dog pose, lifting the sit bones high once you get there. Just roll through the spine a little bit. See what it feels like to get to the edges of your postures so that the spine lengthens out again, both in your plank and in your dog pose as you go back and forth between the two. Stay present with your breathing. The challenge of rounding your way forward into a plank is that we can overdo our pecs. So once you're there, make sure the back body integrates. Next time you get to a plank, hang out for a breath or two. And then you can put your knees down and find your way coming all the way to the floor. Lower yourself down, find your belly, roll your shoulders a couple of more times, take a deep breath in, cobra pose, opening the chest. Exhale and melt back down. Let's try again, shoulders back, big breath in, exhale, release back toward the floor. Come back up onto all fours, find some wiggles, some sways. How's your body? What are you needing? How can you modify your practice just for what's needed today? Curl the toes under and find dog pose again. Extending through the spine. Maybe what you need is to not be on your hands. So come down to your forearms if that's the case. Maybe dog pose, maybe your shoulders don't like so many dog poses and you're modifying and coming into a half lift or something instead. Walk 2 feet forward, fold, let your knees bend, wag your tail if you need it, let your back stretch. Inhale for a halfway lift, sit bones come high, exhale and melt. Rise up, bringing the arms to the sky, and then one more time, come into that sense of yielding. What are you able to do when you drop your hands down and find this sense of connection? Root your right foot into the earth, lift your left knee up in the air and put your arms wherever you want them to be. Open your breath up. Find that sense of balance. Start to wake up some of those muscles that help you along the way as you're balancing. Focus your gaze.
And then put that knee down onto the ground or foot down onto the ground. Switch sides. Lifting up your right knee, left leg is on the ground. Do you have a sense that you have better balance on one side than the other? Arms go anywhere you want, up overhead, out to the sides, anywhere you want. Okay, great. And then put your foot down onto the ground again. Arms up. And then separate your feet at least hip width apart, maybe a little bit wider if you want. Isometrically in your half lift. So I have my hands on blocks, so I think a little easier. Isometrically drag your feet apart so you feel those outer hips start to kick in. Breathing. And then melt back down. Step your left foot back, right foot comes forward, finding a lunge. Extend through your spine here. Rise up, crescent lunge again. Twist open to the side. Feel not only, there's a big stretch here in your hip flexor of that back leg, but notice what the breath is giving to the twist. Try not to hold the breath. Try not to wish for deeper. Just be where you are. And then rise up. Arms coming to the sky, place the hands down on blocks. If you have blocks, use them either on the mid height or high height and find your way to a half lift. Engage through those that standing leg hip has to work really hard. So see if you can stabilize here. Extend through your spine, inner spiral your leg in the air. Lift the foot. Try not to be lazy in the leg, but engage all the way through from your crown to your foot in the air. Find your breath. Exhale and tuck in, square up your hips, reach the knee behind the other knee and tuck toward the floor. Inhale and press out long again. Exhale, tuck in. Some one-legged squats. Inhale, push off your foot. Last time. Push off your foot. Extend that leg in the air, long and broad. Place your foot down onto the ground. Fold in half. Start to let the right hip dissipate over to the left. Come into the flow. Let the left share. And then when you're ready, step your right foot back. Coming to a lunge, left foot forward. Once you have your feet where you want them to be, rise up again, crescent lunge. Breathe deeply. Put your arms where you're best. Breathing. Okay. And then when you're ready, twisting open to this side. Maybe your hands out to the side isn't so good for you and you'd rather have your hands on your hips. So just find where you are in space. Let the twist be about noticing your breath, noticing where your breath takes you, where your obliques take you, instead of necessarily where you want to be or where you can push yourself to be. And then rise back up to the center. Place the hands down onto your blocks and lift up into half splits on this side. Square hips. Use the outer hip of that standing leg. Root your foot, yield it, and then lift up into the outer hip. Notice the leg in the air all the way to your foot. Connect the crown to your foot. Inner spiral that thigh. Engage through your core. Notice if you're locking out your knee you're standing on. Notice if you're holding your breath. And then moving with the flow of our breath, let's extend outward on our inhale. And then as you exhale, tuck knee behind knee, one-legged squat. You can even tuck your chin. Inhale, push off that foot, extend and lengthen. Exhale, squirrel in into the one-legged squat. When you inhale, press out, get long again, crown to heel. One last time, drawing it in. One last time, pushing it on out. Exhale and place your foot down onto the ground. Half foot lift. Feel the transfer of weight bilaterally. Exhale and fold. Step back with your non-dominant leg, whatever one you'd always bring back. Start with the other one and find dog pose. Start to let your glutes stretch a little bit from the squatting. See if you can open things up, let your sit bones widen. Breathe deeply. Isometrically, press your feet into the floor and pull your feet apart from each other. Nothing's actually moving, but let those outer hips, the gluteus medius, your IT band, your gluteus minimus, start to activate. And then relax. and come forward into a plank. You don't have to roll forward if you want. You can come forward for a normal forward. Find your breath. Put your knees down onto the ground if you need to, and find your way to the floor. Open everything really wide, so legs wide, arms wide. Lift everything up. Feel the back body, and in particular, feel your diaphragm. See if you can do those little diaphragmatic push-ups where you're feeling your body move. Your breath is moving your body. That's how much you're using your diaphragm. The neck is long. You have dominance one side over the other. And then exhale and melt. Come up onto your hands and your knees. Have a moment to swish your spine around. Let everything be nurtured. Soften it up a little bit. Breathe. All right, and then find your way up to dog pose again. Lift the right leg up in the air. Square hips here. Feel that outer hip, left hip. Work hard to stabilize yourself here. Exhale, round your spine a little bit like we did in the beginning and bring your knee to your chest. Inhale, bring that leg back. Exhale, now we get to bring the foot forward. Come into a lunge. Find your breathing. We're going to come into a little bit deeper of a twist here. We're moving toward a second twist in a moment that's even deeper than this. Well, different, not deeper. So you get to modify. So you can put your hand on the floor or on a block if you prefer. If you're able, bring your elbow to the outer knee. You can either cross your hand to the chest or two hands together at your heart. You can also have a fist and a hand. So whatever is working for you, make sure, as always in twists, that first you're elongating the spine. Second, you're moving with breath. You're using the obliques to do whatever twist you're ending up in. We're not using bone on bone to push and crank. We're not a wrench. We are a living, breathing, moving body. See what you can do to use your breath to your advantage. Keep lifting your back thigh. And then exhale and release your hands, coming back down to the ground. Find your breath again. One more time, half splits. Lengthen, lengthen here. Feel the reach. Place your foot down onto the ground. Transfer the weight. Notice, how is my back after doing that twist? Twists are hard on the body sometimes, so let's make sure we're doing them properly. Elongating the spine and using your breath. Exhale and step back, dog pose. Which foot do you want to take back right now? Be mindful of the transitions as much as you're mindful of the poses. Lift the left leg up in the air, hips are square. Start to feel the work of those outer hips. Exhale, knee to your chest. Round in a bit if you want. Inhale, bring that leg back up. Exhale, swing it forward. All right, so let's find, you can come up to crescent lunge if that helps you get the space first, and then find whatever pose you're going to do. Your hand can be on the floor, your hand can be on the block. You can be upright in an open twist, you can have your elbow on your knee. There's so many variations. Your back knee can come down onto the floor as well if you want a little bit more support. Whatever you're doing, first find the long spine, the elongated spine. Then find the breath, taking you into the pose. The exhales are where you go into the pose. The obliques are the movement muscles for the posture. Drop the shoulders away from the ears. Keep lifting that back thigh up in the air. Okay, and then let's go ahead and find our way back down, hands onto the ground. Okay, let's walk our back foot forward. Come into Uttanasana. Fold a little bit. Relax. Shake out your back. Notice. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and relax. Bend your knees. Come on up to stand. And let yourself become a little free. Yield. We're going to come into a balanced posture here. So prepare yourself by that yielding into the earth. We're going to stand on our right leg and cross our left thigh over for eagle pose. Because our left leg is on top, our right arm is going to go on top of our left arm. So you always have oppositionals. So where the leg's on top, the opposite arm goes on top. Feel your squat. Drop down, lift your chest, Squeeze your inner thighs. Squeeze your elbows. See what it feels like to feel that lymph compression. This is such a good pose if you're feeling like you've been sitting a lot or stagnating your lymph a lot, not breathing deeply. Feel that squeeze in the body. Okay. All right, and then when you're ready, let's open it up. Spread your arms and legs, starfish open. Take a deep breath, open yourself. Exhale and relax your arms down. Root your left leg deeper into the floor. Find your yielding before you go into a standing balance pose. When you're ready, cross your thigh. And you can always, if you're needing balance support for this, because it's arms are involved too, and we don't have an arm to hold on, you can stick your butt against something to support yourself. Okay, so whatever balance help you need, take it. We're standing on the left leg, the right leg's crossed on top. The left arm is crossed on top. If you feel like you can't hook your foot, that's totally fine. Just let your foot be where it's at. We want our hips pointing straight, our shoulders pointing straight. Our breath is deep. Feel the rib cage, breathe. Squeeze to the midline. Let your peripheral vision take over a little bit. And then when you're ready, you can open the pose on up. Big old starfish, open your breath. And then exhale and fold forward. Relax your head, melt the base of your skull, wag your tail, anything that helps you. Halfway lift, the spine is growing. Exhale and melt. Let's step our left foot back, coming into a lunge again. So when we find this this is the challenging posture, Pavrita Ardha Chandrasana, so revolved half moon pose. We're gonna stand on our right leg. First, we're gonna come into half splits. Once we're here, we're gonna keep the left hand, so the right foot's on the ground, the left hand is on a block. Take a deep breath, put your other hand on your hip, and start to twist to the right. Right hand on hip, twisting right. Left leg lifts in the air. Try not to let it fall to the floor. Lift that leg up, engage through your glutes. Only go where your body says go. This is an awkward pose. We don't go very deeply often in it, and that's okay. Feel yourself move against the resistance. Breathe there. And then exhale and come back down. Half splits. Okay, so the thing that, when we used to do yoga together, remember that? Remember we used to do yoga together? We're going to do yoga together someday again. So when a lot of times what I would always see in this class is people would end up just doing Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. So it's revolved half moon pose. So remember that we're doing oppositional forces. So come on out and let's come to the second side. So finding a lunge with your left foot forward. And then we're gonna come up into half splits on our left leg, standing on our left leg. Our hips are square. We're inner spiraling that thigh in the air, active with your leg in the air. Elongate your spine before you twist in any way. Elongate the spine. So the crown to the foot in the air is active. Put your left hand on your left hip. The right hand stays on the block. So look and make sure you have your left foot on the floor and your right hand on the block. Extend the spine again, lift the leg again, and start to twist to the left. It's okay if you don't go very far. You can keep your hand on your hip. You can lift your hand in the air. You can look forward. You can look up. Keep lifting that leg. Keep elongating the spine. Keep moving only where the breath takes you. All right, everybody not like that pose? It's a very challenging pose, right? So notice your response in your mind. Put your foot down, put your hands down, and find some balance, some symmetry. Bend your knees, relax. Finding the breath. Step back with whatever foot you're feeling. Come back into a plank. Notice the transitions. Try not to get lost in the transitions. Breathe deeply. And find your way to the ground. Let's have some symmetry for our sacrum here. So you can take your legs as close or as wide as you want.
You can put your arms anywhere you want, down at your sides, up overhead, lift everything up. Try not to let any muscle group in the back body take over. Find evenness from your shoulders to your feet, evenness in all your muscle engagement on left and right side and all through all your muscle groups. Breathe into the hug on your sacrum. Let your diaphragm move your body. And then melt and fold to the earth. Come up onto all fours. Pay attention to your spine. How are you? Move things around so you can sway from side to side or do some circles, whatever feels good. And then come down to rest in child's pose. Relax your forehead toward the floor. Find your breath. Let's go ahead and find our way. You have a choice, pigeon pose or reverse pigeon pose. If your back is a little bothered at the moment, I would choose reverse pigeon pose so we can start feeling that sense of spinal elongation melting into the floor. But if your back's like, yeah, I got this, then pigeon pose, or maybe your knee can't handle pigeon pose, so whatever you've got, either coming into pigeon pose with your right leg forward. I always use some support, especially underneath one hip more than the other. I'm sure I'm not alone in that. So if you're in pigeon pose, extend the spine and start to stretch through those muscles. If you're on your back, okay, we're bringing our right foot on top of left knee and coming into the posture like this. So you get to decide where you're at. And those outer hip muscles work really hard when we're standing on one leg. We did a lot of that today. So just notice, breathing deeply. See what you can do to melt and surrender any little part of you. What needs to let go? Remember that we're staying in the flow. We're noticing what we need and asking for it either from self or others. And we're noticing what we can give and not giving less or more. So, it is your challenge with Asteya about your own personal boundaries. How can you learn to say yes? How can you learn to say no? What enhances your sense of generosity? When you are full, when you have energy, you are much more likely to be generous. Let's switch sides than if you feel depleted. If you feel depleted, the sense of lack comes strongly. The sense of jealousy, greed, wanting what others have comes more. So one of the first steps of the Asteya is learning how to care for yourself, nurturing yourself, giving yourself what you need, not necessarily what you want, but what you need so that you feel full, you feel whole, you do not feel lack. How's your spine? Can you release whatever you're doing? Can you release? Can you relax? Is there tension that you can discover and melt? How do you invite abundance in? Even the simple inhale, can you feel the abundance that comes on the in-breath? How do you bias toward abundance and gratitude? How do you do that? How do you bias away from lack? So how does the mind help you with this? How does the body, how does the breath help you with bias toward abundance? Gratitude is such an important aspect of this. Let's go ahead and find ourselves breathing a couple of more deep, full, steady, complete, whole inhales and exhales. Feel yourself fully in the posture, fully here for what you're experiencing, whatever the position is, whether you're on your back or on your front. Can you release into the hip? Can you release into the spine? Let's go ahead and release that. Everybody's going to come onto your back now. So find your way. Rest onto your back. Bring your knees up, feet on the floor for a moment, and just rest in this very neutral position. Check in. That last Pavrita Ardha Chandrasana pose we did, the revolved half moon, that's a doozy on a lot of people's spine. So if you went maybe a little too deeply or didn't quite stabilize enough, notice if there's any impact on your spine, or maybe the impact was there before you did that pose. And then let's nourish that. So bring your knees to your chest, rock a little bit, and see what it feels like to just ease your lumbar spine, ease your sacrum. And then let's find this even deeper if your body's able to. Come into happy baby pose, where you're holding on either to the bottom of your feet or behind your knees. And let your legs go to the outside edges of your body, so a little wider. Feel free to rock while you're here. All right. Relax for a moment, feet back down onto the ground. Now, I want you to pay attention to what your body is needing. So close your eyes and feel. Some people need a little windshield wipering. Some people need a little bit of a supported back bend, like a very low block underneath your pelvis, your sacrum, for a bridge. Some people need to put their knees back up against their chest. Some people need to lie flat. We're not quite at Shavasana, but just take a moment to explore, what is it that I need right now? Can I give myself what I need? So sometimes the learning to bias toward abundance just comes from examining what you need. Sometimes it's hard to know what you need. So practice a little bit of that right now. Give yourself whatever posture you think is going to help you feel good in your body. All right, and then keep doing what you're doing. I'm just going to start talking about where we're going next, because I don't know how long it's going to take you to be where you are. So we're going to do leg up the wall pose, Viparita Karani. Restorative poses of all kinds are a gift to cultivating replenishment and abundance in our bodies and minds. So it's never a waste of time to redo a restorative pose. And oftentimes, I don't know if you've noticed this, when you think, oh, I don't need restoratives, I got plenty of energy. And then you do a restorative pose and you're like, oh, I really needed that. So and you can choose a different one too, if you prefer Supta Baddha Konasana or something right now, but I'm gonna suggest leg up the wall pose. So I don't know what kind of props you all have. So one blanket can be enough. If you want to go higher than that, by all means, you can go higher than that. Sometimes I put a little something under my head as well. So we're going to come to the wall. You can find your way into whatever aspect of this is good for you. And if you don't have a wall, you can put your legs up on a chair or on a couch or something, or on your bed. So let's go ahead and bring ourselves into Viparita Karani. I would suggest, a lot of times people do this in the air, just kind of like legs up in the air. We do that a lot, but it's for a different purpose. When I teach that to you, like sometimes on a block, that's really for just the sense of dropping gravity, so moving your femur bones down to reset into the pelvis. And that is happening, of course, when we put our feet against the wall. But when our legs are against something, it's much more restful than when we're holding them in the air. So choose support. Okay, so take rest. Relax your spine. Relax the base of the skull. Melt what you can. You can sneak this pose in all sorts of times of the day. So if you feel like you need a little pick me up, if you've been on your feet a lot, if your brain's been going, 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 and you just need a replenishment, see what you can do to feel gravity take your lymph, your blood back toward your heart for you. You don't have to work so hard. Feel the weight of your heavy leg bones dropping toward the pelvis. Let this be nourishing to your back. Feel the ease, the spreading out of your spine on the floor, the relaxation of your shoulders. If at all you have trouble breathing, because sometimes that can happen when a lot of weight is coming toward your chest, try putting a little lip of something under your head. A block is too high, possibly, but a blanket, even your hands. Although I don't necessarily recommend that because it's hard on your shoulders after a bit. But whatever you can find to just slightly lift the head up a little bit can help if you are struggling with a heaviness in your chest. Breathe deeply. You can stay here for all of Shavasana if you want. But at least stay for a little bit longer just to feel that sense of deep roots of your thighs soothing your back. Feel the replenishment.
At any time that you are ready, you can transition. And like I said, you can stay here the whole time. There's not a rule that Shavasana needs to be on your back with your legs down. You can keep your legs up. Whatever you're choosing, melt your body. Feel your breath. Feel nourished by the earth. Feel nourished by your breath. Stay in that flow of receiving what you need and offering what you can. Begin to deepen your breathing. Start to allow yourself some movement. Eventually finding your way onto your side. And as you're ready, you can come up to sit. As you come to a comfortable posture, make sure it's just that. So find a seat to sit up on, get a block or a bolster or something. And take a moment to feel into your practice and what it's offered you. Are you focused? Are you centered? Are you grounded? Can you start to know the ways in which you need a little bit more receiving so that you feel whole and full? Are there ways in which you can start giving so that you feel the flow, sense of selflessness? Offer your practice, share your energy. Don't hoard your energy. There's so much more to come if you just stay in the flow. Just become the conduit and let energy move through you to another. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Blessings on you.